Happy Monday, New York Jet fans and NFL fans. It is November 20th, 2023, 7:33 p.m. And we are just about to conclude week 11 of the 2023 NFL season, where the Philadelphia Eagles will go to Kansas City, I'm sorry, at Arrowhead in a rematch of last year's Super Bowl. Um, both of those teams the Jets played this year. They beat the Eagles. And of course, they came close to beating Kansas City. I think they lost by two to Kansas City. A few weeks back, we beat the Giants on a last play of regulation, then in overtime. And I didn't start my recap video with any music. I didn't think it deserved any music. Um, and then following that, I played the Benny Hill theme. I played, the theme from ESPN Sports Center. Um, you know, um, and today I did not know what to play, and I'm a DJ by trade. For those of you who know me, so I have a library of music I could have played, and Mission Impossible comes to mind, and Jeopardy comes to mind, and Carnival themes come to mind, and you know, I just for the life of me couldn't think of anything that I wanted to play that could really sum up the way yesterday's game went and the way this season has been going. Um, so the game ends yesterday, and I usually go to post game. I'll go to SNY, and as I'm going to SNY, I'm looking. I'm like, is that a fight going on in the tunnel? And yep, sure as hell. Later on, I find out that there was a fight, I believe, between Michael Clemens and somebody on the Bills. That they had to be separated. Um, and the funny thing was, and I didn't pick up on this on first, was as the two are coming together, Robert Sala is walking through the tunnel, and he just keeps walking. So it said to me two things. Number one, his head was just getting off that field and heading into the locker room. And number two, what was he thinking about? That he didn't even pick up on this. That these two tremendous men are going at it, cursing at each other, screaming at each other, and it just he paid it no mind. So I kind of watched that, and it was a debacle. And I'm not going to go through everything that happened yesterday, but it was a debacle from start to finish, from literally the open kickoff when Gibson fumbled throughout the game. So I'm like, you know what? It just aggravated me because we win that game yesterday, and then now they're showing highlights. And of course, the first highlight they show is Zach Wilson falling as he's walking onto the field. And if that doesn't sum up his career with the Jets, nothing will. And that is what happened, you know, yesterday. His career with the Jets probably just came to an end. So last night I'm like, hell with this. I'm just miserable. I'm going to sleep. So I go to bed. I don't even know who's playing the Sunday night game. Um, I wake up this morning. Thank you, God, making me up the next day. And I go and don't put on the radio or anything. I don't listen to anything. I don't read anything. Um, and I decide I'm going to go, just go right to work. So I go to work and I put on Twitter at first, and I'm like, what the hell? You have who's blaming Hackett, who's blaming Woody, who's blaming Zach Wilson, who's blaming Obama. I mean, there was actually one tweet that Woody Johnson wouldn't need money from the season ticket holders if he stopped giving money to Donald Trump's campaign fund. I mean, that's what the hell this has come to. And then you got the ass hats. Yes, I said ass hats from WFAN, and not the primetime guys, but the guys who don't have their own shows but are like comic relief. I'm going to call them comparing Tommy DeVito to Zach Wilson. And you know what? You are 100% right. Tommy DeVito has more touchdown passes than Zach Wilson. How many wins does he have this year? Who did he beat? I mean, you're talking about who's suckier than the other one. I mean, just give me a break. You're a professional, you idiot. But anyway, so you can see where my mood is right now, okay? Ruined my Sunday, okay? Because not only, again, did I have to wait all week, and then I had the later game and all that, but they come out and they play like ass. And I'm just tired of it, okay? I'm tired of getting ready every weekend and getting ready to hopefully enjoy a game and just be miserable for 3 hours looking at mistakes that they make that I could pick up on, looking at play calling that they call that I know they're going to call. So fine. I go into the conference room to administer a test today, and my phone goes off, and it's Tim Boyle is suspected to be starter Friday actually versus the Dolphins. No sooner did I read that, my brother-in-law texts me, "Hey, Tim Boyle's starting Friday." So I'm like, "All right, you know, I want to know what happened." So listen, it was inevitable. I don't know how Zach lasted this long, and I'm not blaming it all on Zach. Um, for a quarterback to make it through college and to be drafted, you have to have some sort of talent. I'm not saying you are, you know, Joe Montana, Tom Brady, anybody like that, but to be drafted as a quarterback, you must have some sort of talent, especially drafted number two overall. Um, but he never evolved, and there is a lot of work that goes into this, and a lot of components that go into this. You can come out and be the most talented quarterback in college, and you have to catch up to NFL speed, or you can come out and catch up to NFL speed. I mean, different quarterbacks, different players are different. The Jets tried to help this kid, but tried to help him too late. The first year, 2-14, you know, he just, you're coming off the COVID year. I think it was 2-14 the first year. Coming off the COVID year, coming off, Adam Gase is being fired. You just got rid of Sam Donald, and now you get Zach Wilson, and the team is starting, to kind of get things going and try to get things, moving. And he actually starts 10 games that year. Okay. Um, Following year, you say, all right, listen, the kid's going to step up. They're going to build a little bit around him. They draft Garrett Wilson, who turns out to be the offensive rookie player of the year. You have a running back in Brees Hall. You got AVT, and what happens preseason? Zach dives during a play, and literally first 20 minutes of the preseason, he's out. He's going to miss the first 4 weeks. In comes Joe Flacco. He plays 9 games last year. Zach Wilson. Okay. In between those 9 games, he was benched for Mike White and for Strevia, or whatever his name was, Truvia, Sweetlow, whatever the hell his name was. Okay, so he was benched. They go all in. They say, you know what? We got Garrett Wilson. We got this defense that we're building. We're going to go get Aaron Rodgers. We're going to redshirt the kid. And this is where Robert Saleh spoke today. And I'm not going to, blow up who he spoke to, but he was on the radio. And my cousin Mike, he's like, you got to listen to him speak. And Saleh basically said the idea was to redshirt him this year behind Aaron Rodgers. Watch the way Aaron Rodgers prepares in the offseason. Watch the way Aaron Rodgers studies. Watch the way Aaron Rodgers holds practices. Watch the way Aaron Rodgers, prepares for games. Watch the way Aaron Rodgers performs in games. Watch the way Aaron Rodgers recuperates from games, and so on and so forth. And you know the story. He never got to see that. He got to see training camp. He got to see a preseason game against the Giants, and that's all Zach got to see. And he got thrown to the Wolves. Okay, whether he was ready to play or not is on him mentally. Whether he was ready to play or not as a strategic point is on the coaches. So he played 13 games this year. Okay. Um, no, he couldn't have played 13 games this year. I'm sorry. He played 10 games this year. So I think I read it backwards. He played 13 his first season, 9 last season, and 10 this season. He's been benched. He's going to be the number 3 quarterback on Sunday. Now, they're going to dress 3 quarterbacks. I don't know why, but they are. In 32 starts, he is 12-20. He is not even 500. He has 6 touchdown passes this year. Finally has one in the month of November, uh, and this whole thing is just going to be blown up. Now, do I blame Zach Wilson for all of it? No, I do not. I blame the GM for not having a plan B behind Aaron Rodgers. If you didn't want to get rid of Zach Wilson and you wanted to keep him on there and possibly let him learn behind Aaron Rodgers, bring in a suitable backup, a veteran backup that knows how to run an offense, that hasn't had issues in the past, on the field, and let him go between him and Aaron Rodgers. This way, when you have that problem that you sustained in the first game of the season, when you have that issue come up, you have somebody who you can rely on. You can't rely on Zach Wilson. Okay? You can't. It's just, of his 12 wins, 9 of them came because of the defense basically giving the game back to them. You know, um, I mean that's the truth of the matter. I never went into a game and said, "Hey, Zach Wilson really dominated that game. That's why we won." Never, never happened. Another reason why I can't say it's all Zach Wilson is they brought in an offensive coordinator that worked well with Aaron Rodgers. Now, I don't know how people feel about Nathaniel Hackett prior to this year, but I know he was not liked in Denver, but that was as a head coach. But really, the only time Hackett was successful was when Aaron Rodgers was successful. So this offense this year was basically written for Aaron Rodgers. Lazard, Cobb, Cook, all gray beards, long in the tooth. Again, I'm going to use all these analogies, all these cliches that give you a 39-year-old veteran quarterback that sense of security, that security blanket he wants, players that he's played with, and he never gets to play with them. And there's no gelling between Zach and the offense. Okay, Zach and Garrett Wilson, yes, they had chemistry last year. So did Mike White and Garrett Wilson. Okay, if you want to sum up Zach Wilson's career as a Jet, and I wish him well, I don't think he needs to be tar and feathered. I don't think he needs to be run out of town, but he does need to go to another team. I think he needs to get a breath of fresh air on another team. Geno Smith has resurged. Um, but if you want to sum up his career, he was benched twice last year for Mike White and Strevia, and once this year for Tim Boyle. That's where it's coming from. And I'm not saying that Sala and Rex and Joe Douglas and Hackett all sat down and said, you know what, Tim Boyle is going to be the better. No, I think they just said it's time that Zach sits down, faces the consequences of his actions or non-actions, and that's it. My brother-in-law was saying today, do you think they release him? And I'm like, I hope they can get something for him. And he said, well, the more he plays, the worse he does, the less value he's going to have. And it's true. He's not going to have much value. You know, Somebody compared him to Jamarcus Russell. I mean, it was a tremendous bust. Now, I thought the Donald draft was a bust because I was there at the draft party when people from the Jets office were jumping up and down when the Giants picked Saquon Barkley. I was there when they picked Sam Donald and the and the people were like, "This is who we've been waiting for." I thought Sam had the size, he had the height, he had the intelligence, and they wound up he played for Bowles one year, they got rid of Bowles, and then 2 years under Gase, and that's all she wrote. You know, he hasn't done anything really in the league. He went to Carolina. He went to San Fran. I think he's third on the depth chart now in San Fran. So, Maybe it wasn't all the Jets, maybe it was part of him also. But the Jets and history have never really developed a quarterback. The closest they've come to was Chad Pennington, and injuries got in the way there. So the blame goes from top to bottom. And the frustration now is coming out. It's coming out from the fans. I mean, if you read Twitter, it is just a shit show. And it is, most of it is comical, because you have these grown men like stomping their feet, going, that's it. And I'm never going to watch them again. And listen, maybe, you came into this watching this team, 5 years ago or 6 years ago, and this is your lowest of your low. Okay. Maybe you came into this league in 2000, not saying coming into this league, but started watching the team in 2008, where you had Brett Favre almost get you there, where, you had Sanchez and Rex 2 years in a row, you know, and you live off that. But and I'll call me the graybeard, who's been watching this team since '83, who where you could say, you know, going 3-13, 1-15, the Spike game, the Eric Allen Eagle game comeback, the um, you know, all the losses to the Patriots, to all of that. If this is the game that's going to set you over the top, listen, that's your choice. But I've lived through worse. I've seen worse. What hurts about this, and I compare this to the 2000, I'm sorry, I compare this to the '99 team, is the expectations coming into this season. The expectations going into '99 were we were, I think, a top four choice to go to the Super Bowl. You had Parcells in his third year, and that's the year where Parcells gets you. You came within a half or 20 something minutes the year before. You rejuvenated Testaverde's career. Your offensive line is tremendous. You have the best center in football at this time in Mawai. Your defense is coming along. It's anchored by I can't think of his name, Brian Cox, Mo Lewis, and Vinny goes down. And they almost win that first game with Tom Tupper as quarterback. You say, all right, you got Rick Mira. Mira is a highly regarded quarterback. Did well in college, and he just cannot get things going. And I was there. I was there after a Monday night game against the Jaguars, where it was this pitiful performance. And Mira came out in the end, and I said, "Hey Rick, sorry, what did Parcells say?" And he rolled his eyes like, "Yeah, right, whatever." Like Parcells like belittled him or whatever he did, but Rick Mira never had it. When Parcells finally gave the ball to Ray Lucas, I think Lucas went 1-7. I'm sorry, 7-1, or 6-2. We missed the playoffs by one game. That was disappointing because we were flying high, especially towards the end of the season. Okay. Then things kind of shifted. You went to the 2000 season saying, all right, you got Vinny coming back, and you just missed the playoffs on the last game of the season again with Al Groh. So that '99 season and this season, the expectations were so high because they built that team around it. I think even higher than the 2010 season. And the 2010 season, I was all in. When they brought in Santonio Holmes and you had Braylon Edwards coming back and you had LaDainian Tomlinson and, you get the kid, you get the old guy from Miami, Jason Taylor, and you're like, all right, we're all in, we're going for it. And again, but that year, we made it all the way to the championship game. This year, after Friday, I don't know where this game goes. I don't know where are these wins coming from? You know, Again, I chose these wins prior to Rogers going down. And I had them losing yesterday, but yesterday I had them at 3, 4, 5. I had them at 6-4. We're the opposite. We're 4-6. We're going against a hot Dolphin team. A Dolphin team, although that hasn't really beaten a team with a winning record, but you know what? They're going to face a team without a winning record now. On Black Friday, on a short week, where you're bringing in a quarterback, I think started one game in his career, um, and it's not going to be pretty. It's not going to be pretty. You're going to have Jet fans selling their seats for very cheap prices. Um, you're going to have maybe a lot of empty seats, and you're going to have a lot of booing and a lot of frustration. Um, and that's what gets me. And that's, you know, I said be relevant to Thanksgiving, and you losing yesterday, the relevancy dropped dramatically. You know, you have these are the next games: Dolphins, Falcons, Texans, Dolphins. Any wins come from there. You finish off at home versus the Commanders, at Cleveland, and then at New England. How many wins you get out of that? Okay. Then you got to hope that Aaron Rodgers comes back. Now he's saying he wants to come back this year. I'm telling you, unless the Jets win the next three and get to 7-6, I cannot see him coming back this year and risking it for no reason. So you want to hope he comes back next year and says, I'm all in for next year. You want to revamp that offensive line. You want to, go into next year better prepared than this year. If everything works out next year, you forget about this year. But right now, in the midst of all this, we are sitting in a cesspool. We are 4-6. We could very well be 2-8. I mean, let's be honest. You know, there were some games that could have went our way. There were some games that bounced the other way. It kind of evened out. But if you take it talent wise and the way we played, 2-8, 3-7. I mean, 4-6 is okay, maybe we're right on the mark. But it's so difficult to sit here again, wear the colors, like I do every day, and say, hey, no problem, we're okay. I see, I see us clicking. Hey, listen, it was just a bad break. I say, no, no. 6 points in a game is not a bad break. It's terrible. And let's be honest, without that fake punt early on, the drives don't continue. I mean, they really, it was just the team offensively cannot move the ball on a conventional method. There is a lot of problems with this offense. And like I said earlier, frustration. So you had to fight after the game with Clemens and the guy from Buffalo. Um, you had, I want to say on the sideline, um, yes, it was Quinton Williams screaming at his defense. Now, just before that happened, so it was second half. The Jets are treading water. I mean, they're by the skin of their teeth. And pass goes over the top, and Sauce jumps the route. I have nothing, no problem with that. You got to make a spark because your offense not doing anything. Sauce gets beat. Receiver catches the ball, turns upfield. With this, DJ Reed and Whitehead turn on the afterburner. Sauce catches up to him, but somehow gets blocked into his own men and takes out Reed and Whitehead. Now, Whitehead had 3 interceptions opening day, and DJ Reed said this was going to be the 85 Bears. And then you have Sauce Gardner, the top, pick for the Jets, and all on that one play. And that kind of summed up yesterday, where the defense each week would come up with a play. Yesterday, in one play, it looked like the Bad News Bears. It was like NFL Follies from like the early '80s, late '70s, when they had the music going and you see the guy just kicking the ball down the field. So you had Quinton Williams screaming on the sidelines. Then you have Garrett Wilson on one play where I don't know if the ball is picked off or there's a sack, but he makes a move and he's wide open and you see him jumping up and down in frustration that Zach doesn't see him. Garrett also had a fumble. Second week in a row, he's fumbled. Okay, you had a ball that was thrown to Brees Hall that just bounced off his hands. Even though Brees Hall scored a touchdown, it's still, frustrations. Later on in the game, you had Sauce kind of body slammed Stephon Diggs. Now, yes, it was excessive, but you know what? There wasn't a whistle. So, you know, I don't understand this, but he should have known better than to body slam. Then today, to paraphrase, they asked Salah about a backup quarterback let me see if I can find it. Hold on. Okay. So Rich Samini posted this. A lot of reporters posted, but I'm going to take it from Rich Samini because this is where I got it from. A cryptic answer from Salah. When asked if there's anything they could have done differently during the pre-draft process in 2021 when they drafted Wilson, Salah said, "I've got my thoughts. I've shared them with Joe Douglas. He declined to reveal them to reporters." So basically, I'm sorry, my channel just changed to Ranger Hockey. I have it set for that off NFL Network. So basically, he's saying he had his thoughts about the 2021 draft. Douglas, he shared his views with Douglas, but he declined to tell the reporter to say what he shared to Douglas. So Salah wasn't sold on him either. But I've always thought that Douglas and Salah had a good relationship. These last few weeks, I don't know so much that it's a bad relationship, but they're answering to a higher authority. Is Woody telling Douglas what to tell Salah to do? Is Woody telling Salah just straight out? Is Douglas and Salah not seeing eye to eye? There's a lot going on here. And this is going to be a mess. This is going to be a mess because the wild card here, and listen, the same people, and I said it from last year, I didn't want Aaron Rodgers here. Then when he got here, you know what? I was all in. The confidence that he brought to this team, the energy he brought to this team, I fed into it and I believed it. Okay? But you got to remember, this team wants to keep Rodgers here for at least 2 seasons. They damn sure want him here next year, and they want to keep him here about a year after that. Okay? So there's 2 things or 3 things that I look at. Number one, do they draft a quarterback, make him come in, sit behind Rodgers and a veteran, another veteran, to learn the system? Number 2, if they want to get rid of Hackett, is Rodgers okay with that? Rodgers has come out publicly and said, "I've won 2 MVPs under this coordinator and this system." So I don't think he's going to be under that. If they want to get rid of Salah, is Rodgers okay with that? Where I don't know if Salah needs to go this year, but he has to learn game management a lot better. Clock management, timeouts, all of that. I don't think he's there. And listen, when you have a team that can withstand some penalties and some mistakes, then the coach can learn. When you have a team that can't get out of their way, then a coach is going to be stumbling as well. So there's a lot of wild cards going into next season. And it all goes to, unfortunately, your starting quarterback. If Rodgers is coming back, he is going to give what he thinks should be done. And I know this team. They're going to follow suit on what they think should be done. This is a team where, Peyton Manning said, "Hey, Adam Gase," and they went out and got Adam Gase. I don't know. It's just the narrative is not new. It's just a different cast. It's just a different year. I have more gray this year. I have more weight on this year. I have another year on me. But every year there is something that comes back and say, "Yep, that's the Jets." And you can say what you want about the Browns and all the quarterbacks they went through and all that. They're starting to get it. Okay? It took them 50 years, but they're starting to get it. The Lions, remember when the Saints were the Aints? So that's what keeps me going, is seeing what other teams have done and the possibilities. But right now, getting through this season. The first step is seeing how Boyle plays next week. And I'm not saying if I'm going to be annoyed if Boyle goes out and goes, 9 of 28 for a $150 and 2 INTs, because you know what? It's not really, it's not going to really mean much. It wouldn't surprise me if Boyle goes out and goes, 12 of 21 for, 195, 2 touchdowns, or a touchdown and, 10 yards rushing. I'd say, all right, I'll take that. But now you're just playing out the season. You're playing out, get through with this line, see if you can develop Izzy, and then you see, Lazard, like another drop. Cobb, where is he? Cobb is missing. Delvin Cook missed a block yesterday and got Zach Wilson creamed. You are a veteran. You were put out there to block on that play specifically, and you totally missed the block. The block came from the left. You stood to the right. That is the problem with this team, or one of the problems with this team. So I was going to do a video today, and I texted my buddies and my cousins. And my cousin Mikey says, this is the best time to do a video because you want to yell. And you know what? I'm not going to yell. I'll cheer and I'll yell during the game, but I cannot get myself worked up over something like this. I mean, it really ruined you last night. It really did. You go through the weekend and you're like, all right, well, it's Friday. We're going to get the weekend, and then you do things Saturdays. All right, tomorrow's game day. You get up early on Sunday. You get your colors on. You go to church. You come home. You have some breakfast. You watch the early games, and then you just beat down. And then before you know it, you're looking at the clock going, "Damn, I got work tomorrow." The good thing is it's a short week. It's a home game Friday, first time Black Friday, playing the Dolphins, and I get to go with my girls, and hopefully we come home with a win. It'll be historic. First Black Friday win. First time we're going to see Tim Boyle start. I really want to see the reaction of the team and the fans. And I'll tell you why. I remember 2 occurrences that really stick out. There's 3, but, one was with Glenn Foley, and, it was just... the Glenn Foley came in and he played well. I think he went like 90-something yards on a drive, and scored a touchdown. Then, like at the end of a half, at the end of the game, they had him throw a Hail Mary, and he got hit underneath his shoulder. They dislocated his shoulder. He was done for the season. But there was 2 times where I saw Jet fans react and overreact, I would say. Or maybe not overreact. It's 2013, I guess, 2014, maybe 13. Jets are playing the Arizona Cardinals. Terrible game. Freaking horrible. Cold. Can't do anything. And Sanchez, I think, threw like 3 picks at this point or whatever. And Greg McElroy is on the sidelines. And he starts taking snaps on the sidelines. And the guys behind me just start going crazy. Yeah, he's taking snaps. Yeah. Thinking who was going to come in. Greg McElroy. They won that game, but he did nothing the rest of his career. But going back to, I believe it was the 95 and the 96 season, the Jaguars and the Panthers were both expansion teams that year. And they barely beat the Jaguars. Okay, so it was the 95 season because they won 3 games that year. Okay, they go play Carolina in Carolina, and Bubby Brissett throws a shovel pass that's picked off, and it's brought in for a touchdown. It was a short touchdown, but it was picked up, brought in. And back then, both teams came out of the same tunnel at Giant Stadium. So the following week, we go to the game, and what would happen is the Jets would come out, and their sideline, when they came out of the tunnel, was to the left, okay? And they would run the sideline down and then run around and then do a lap and then go up to the 50. As they came out, they weren't even introduced that day, okay? They actually went from they used to introduce both teams, okay, and they do the starting whatever for the visiting team, and as the players come out, they go Dan Marino, quarterback Dan Marino, and everybody would yell sucks, and then they do the Jets. That was the first time where they didn't announce any part of the team, special teams, defense, or offense for both teams. And they never did it again when they did both teams. And it took many years later for them to start announcing the teams again. But anyway, the team comes out and they get booed as they're running in for warm ups. And I was like, wow, the fans are just fed up. When you lose, all these games and you lose to an expansion team and you have your name goes down as the team that they get their first win from ever in their existence, it's bad. So anyway, I that was my video today. I know it's a little longer than usual. There's no graphics, there's no music, there's no nothing, um, and that's it. You can reach us, email me. Email us, Twitter. You can tweet us. You can follow us. Our Twitter account is at the Jets Takeoff. Our email address is at the Jets Takeoff at gmail.com. You can follow us on YouTube. You can subscribe, and you'll be alerted. I tell you, my videos are a lot more livelier than this. I'm just really not in the mood tonight. But it's just I'm a creature of habit. I usually do Monday or Tuesdays, and just being a holiday week and some personal things going on this week, I wanted to get out of the way tonight. So you can follow us YouTube. The Takeoff is the YouTube account. At the Jets Takeoff is the YouTube channel. TikTok, the Jets Takeoff, and on Instagram, the Jets Takeoff. Have a great rest of your week. I'm going to try to do a Wednesday video. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to, or possibly a Thanksgiving video. If I don't do one, have a happy, healthy, blessed, and safe Thanksgiving to you and your family. Have a great rest of your week, a blessed week, whatever you say, safe week, healthy week. And the Zach Wilson time with the Jets has not officially come to an end, but has come to an end.